Hello there, here we are for part 2 of Review or Die's most overrated films of all time.
Yes, and we've had a few controversial choices so far.
We have thus
And
far.
there's more to come.
Indeed.
Don't unsubscribe.
Please stay with us. The first film in this podcast that I'm just going to open up with is Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
I absolutely loathe it. I absolutely hate it. I think there's so many flaws with it. And I cannot believe it won an Oscar as well.
Oh yeah, I always forget it won an Oscar.
It's probably got to be one of the worst films to win one. But I think it teaches conformity and a lack of freedom of thought. Like the main character just bumbles on through doing what authority figures tell him to do without actually having any conscious thoughts or beliefs of his own. The narrative is ridiculously far-fetched. You go from sitting on a park bench to being in a war, and it's just infuriating. And it's overquoted. It is overquoted and it's imbued in culture, which absolutely irritates me.
I think that actually when you talk about overrated things, if you're talking about most quoted as well, they do go together. And there's one that I didn't mention, which now that you've mentioned the overquoting thing again, it's sprung to mind, which I'm not going to count as one of our 5. Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
I think that's
but it's
probably
still a cult.
overrated.
But it's still a cult, but it is
But
these
not
days.
on this
not
level.
on this level, no.
God, no. I mean, this is... Everyone knows about it. And it doesn't teach its audience anything. It doesn't...
No.
It doesn't even make us feel joyous or uplifted, even though it tries to. I really, really don't like it. It's one of my least favourite films of all time.
There's another thing I was going to bring up. That if you say you don't like this film, do you know what I usually get said? People say to me, "Oh, you just don't get it."
Yeah, I've had that about Forrest Gump. I think because it has a lot of people who do really like it.
Yeah.
They try and defend it, which is obviously fair enough. I'd rather someone defended a film they enjoy than back down over it.
Yeah.
But you're not going to convince me, I'm afraid. What would be next on your list?
Again, kind of controversial, actually, especially coming from me, who loves Japanese animation and Studio Ghibli. It's Spirited Away.
See, I don't think this is the best Studio Ghibli.
No, I don't. This is another reason. One of the reasons why I think it's overrated. The film is great. I really like it. But it seems to be considered as the Studio Ghibli film because it was the first one to get really pushed in this country, especially. And because of that, it's just the one that everyone mentions. Everyone's heard about because it was the one that had all the trailers out on TV and stuff, and was in all the cinemas. And yet the ones that came after and before are just so much better. I don't find the character of Chio, I haven't seen it in so long.
Yeah.
I don't find her as likeable as the protagonist in Howl's Moving Castle or The Wind Rises, which of course is a fantastic film, which we agree on.
Yeah.
But it still has the charm of a Studio Ghibli film, but it's not at the same level. I
totally agree. I think what I said to you, it doesn't blend its sort of tone of fantasy and reality right.
No.
I think it weights it far too much the other way in terms of the fantasy, and then you get a load of characters who you don't really know about.
No.
You get swathes of them that just pass through.
I will say one thing in defence of it with that is the fact that at most, if not all of the background characters, all these characters you see, to anyone who would know a lot about Japanese mythology, who probably go, "Oh, that's that," because obviously all these creatures that we're seeing are from Shinto mythology and stuff like that. So for that reason, it might be a translation issue.
Yeah.
But still, it's not the best one.
No, it's not for me either. No.
So
we agree on this one, but we're going to disagree on this one, I'm afraid. I'm going to go Sunset Boulevard here.
No.
I'm sorry. I know it's one of your favourite films, but I just didn't get it. I was really, really disappointed watching it. I know, obviously, it's got such a high rating on IMDb. It's an Oscar winner, of course. I sat down to watch it, and I didn't care for it at all. I think it takes quite a while to get going. I think that's one of maybe the problems as well. But I also think it's so theatrical. I can just imagine that on a stage. There's nothing cinematic about it, which really captures my imagination, and that's a big problem with it. And another major issue is obviously it's a critique of Hollywood and fame and stardom and alienation, but those things are done to such a higher level, such a superior level in All About Eve, which was actually released the same year.
Yes, it was, and I haven't seen it.
It's so much better than Sunset Boulevard. Which
I wonder.
It is, honestly. That film, it deals with the more, the grittier side, the backstabbing, the cloak and dagger nature of Hollywood, the group sort of effort of Hollywood, and how fame ticks along with people sort of playing their parts. Whereas Sunset Boulevard, it's just about one person and a sort of quite a strange, warped relationship with another character who comes in quite a strange way. So for me, that's why I didn't like it, and I'm eternally sorry, but not sorry.
Great. We'll add that you mentioned it being staged and like theatrical.
Yeah.
I do have an opinion on that, because I think that when it comes to films that are like that, I'm a bit blind to it, because I'm a big fan of theatre and stage shows. So maybe when that is the case, I don't see it because I think, oh, this is good, and because of that.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I would probably notice something like that more, because I think, all the things you can do with the camera,
Yeah.
or even in terms of moving space and stuff like that. So maybe that's where we differentiate, perhaps.
Perhaps, yes.
Your one is going to cause some
My
controversy.
final one, but we are agreed on this, aren't we?
We are agreed, yeah.
My final one is The Shawshank Redemption, he said in the most polite way possible. The main reason that I've chosen this as my final one is because it's number 1 on IMDb. It is a good film. I enjoyed seeing it. I didn't enjoy seeing it after it was put on ITV about 500 million times. But when it comes to like even just Stephen King based films, The Green Mile is better than it.
Yeah, I think it is, actually.
If maybe a bit more somber and obviously sadder, but then it has got some uplifting parts to it.
Yeah.
And if we talk about Stephen King adaptations, Shining. If you had to have Stephen King in number 1, I'd put The Shining in there.
I think actually I'd probably put a lot of the Stephen King adaptations. I'd probably even put Carrie and Misery above it if we're talking Stephen King adaptations, which, I mean, and a lot of those are in the top 250 on IMDb, but a lot lower down, which is why I can't understand why Shawshank is number 1.
See, I have a theory about this. I think it's because it's actually one of the most overplayed films that there's ever been on TV, say. Then when people go to rate films on IMDb, one of the first ones they think of is that one that we see on TV all the time.
I mean, potentially it's got a lot of reviews, or a lot of people who have reviewed it. So I think it's obviously a very popular film.
Yeah. I just don't understand why it's in number 1.
Yeah, that baffles me as well. That does confuse me.
I'm prepared for you to tell me I'm wrong and it's a great film, so please comment below.
Yeah,
I will read them.
We'll have lots of people disagreeing with that.
So for your final one, please don't say it's another one I love.
I'm not sure on your opinion on this one, actually. My final one is Deliverance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Now, it's obviously really, really celebrated for 2 iconic sequences.
It's built up on one, especially one in particular.
Yeah, which obviously we won't spoil if you don't know anything about, because you actually will be rewarded if you don't know anything about it. But other than that, actually, sorry, if you haven't seen it, switch off the podcast here.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear me sort of blabbering on about it or why it's bad. But other than those 2 scenes or sequences, there's nothing really to hold it together. No. There's no... The togetherness with the characters is lost for numerous reasons narratively, which is fair enough. But you've got shots of boating and, these men on this adventure, but it doesn't feel like this great adventure. It doesn't feel like Aguirre, Wrath of God, where they're, trekking through the jungle, or, it just doesn't have that really great cinematic feel of a journey. And then when that's disrupted, you've got sort of a revenge plot that's tacked on at the end, and it just goes against, well, for me, it goes against the whole film, really, on what it was about, the spirit of adventure, being close to nature, and then it just gets warped into this revenge horror film.
It suddenly turned into I Spit on Your Grave, basically.
It's very odd, And honestly, it took me 3 times to even complete watching it because I just lost interest.
I'm not sure that I've actually watched it all the way through.
I've never had that with a film. I've even stuck by The Brown Bunny, The Riot Club, Now You See Me.
Mr. Turner.
Mr. Turner. I've stuck by these films which I absolutely loathe, and even from about halfway, you're gonna actually despise them.
You're gonna.
Whereas this, I just either fell asleep. Well, no, I did fall asleep all 3 times, and it wasn't even at in an evening screening or an evening viewing, and I think that's such a damning critique alone.
Yeah, like I say, it is normally. I mean, not always the case, but it is usually viewed based on the people know about this scene being so very controversial at the time and being such a big thing. But you've got to understand that no one else mentions anything about the rest of the film. It's always, that one scene was really, really gripping. It's like,
exactly.
Yeah, what about the rest of the film?
Yeah, they probably have a hard review. So actually, we might have a lot of people who agree with that one, but it is still highly rated and seen as a classic in some circles.
Yeah. Not by us.
Not by us, no. Again, we probably alienated and discombobulated the rest of our audience.
With a few of them.
Our subscription and following is going to be halved, maybe even just lost altogether after these podcasts.
But that's kind of petty. Do the right thing and just tell us why we're wrong.
Yeah, tell us, honestly, comment, tell us why we're wrong. Tell us what 10 films you think are overrated. We'd love to discuss them with you on Twitter, on YouTube, Facebook as well, of course. So we hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Until next time.
See you later.